What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video here in Chicago at a staple for steakhouses. It's called Hugo's. It's under the Gibson family. But today from 3 to 6 p.m. happy hour, we got $1 oysters. Probably gonna order like 40 or 50 of them. I'm with my mom. And after this, we're headed over to that private game you guys saw in the last video. So the action's gonna get pretty crazy. I heard they're bringing tacos tonight too. The boys probably gonna have like 7 to 10 of those. If you guys are new here, drop a subscribe and a like on the video. And now let's get into the hands. Let's go! Getting ready to start the session. We're into the private game. It's a 1, 2, 3 blind game. We're in for $1,000. Alright, you guys, first hand we look down at Jack 10 offsuit from the big blind. Small blind decides to raise it up to $15. I'm not going anywhere. Not going to be 3-betting though. I just put in the call, bringing us off to a flop which comes 9-8-3 with 2 spades. Obviously, I have that up and down straight draw. Let's see if it comes in on the turn, but we'll have to call a bet first because the small blind bets out for $15. Not going anywhere. I could raise here and represent some sets. Instead, I look just to call, and we see an interesting card on the turn. It comes the 5 of hearts. I say interesting not because it changes anything with my hand, but because the small blind does not decide to slow down and check, actually decides to bet out for 40 bucks into the $60 pot. Now here, I definitely have an easy just call, never going to be raising when he decides to bet the flop and the turn. So after I put in the 40 bucks, we see a blank on the river. It comes the king of hearts, but now the small blind decides to check it over to me. Do we check behind here? Almost assuredly, we're no good with our jack high. At the same time though, what are we trying to get to fold that's better than us? Could be some missed spade draws like the ace and queen high spade draws. I don't think anything that got here with a king is going to be checking. They probably go for a little bit more value on the river. So I'm looking to get any of the one pair type of hands or the ace and queen high draws to fold. So for that reason, I flick out one black chip. That's obviously a bluff. I'm trying to win down the pot. But we get snap called. I obviously turn over my cards. I need to see what he called me with. And pocket jacks makes a lot of sense. You just never put him on a strong hand from the small blind, but looks like he's going to get rewarded with that $340 pot. I top up for an additional $400. In the next hand, we look down at queen jack of clubs from the button. I end up straddling it to $10 on the button. Middle position calls and the cutoff calls as well. The action's on me. I decided to raise it up to $40, and both players put in the call. My logic for raising is that I have a good hand. It's a suited Broadway type of hand. I'm on the button, and the flop I know is going to come queen, jack, jack, bang! We flop a boat. How does that even happen? We raise the button. I'm just going for position and trying to hit a queen or jack high board, let alone flop a boat. And my luck gets even better when middle position decides to open jam for around $200. The player to my right gets out of the way, but I'm going nowhere. I flick in a chip indicating a call, and we're off to a run out. We turn our cards over immediately, and he has queen 10. So he ripped it with queen 10. Not much can help him on the turn or the river. We end up with our boat and $526 to show for it. All right, after that banger of a hand, no pun intended, I look down at king 10 of clubs from the hijack. One limp to me, so I raise it up to $15, and the low jack limper puts in the call. We end up both choosing one of each of our cards to expose. This guy is Kobe. He's on my right. You're going to see a lot more of him in this video. But yeah, when you're playing in a home game, you can kind of make up the rules as you go. And this is an example of it. Really fun vibes here. We both end up turning over a king, which is kind of funny. And yeah, let's go off to a flop. When the flop comes queen 10-9 and he checks it over to me, I go for a c-bet of $15. He quickly mucks. I turn over my pair of 10s. And we're going to take down that kind of fun hand. All right, moving right along, I look down at the jiggies from under the gun and I raise it up to $15. We're going to get not 1, 2, or 3 calls. We get 4 calls, so we are going 5 ways to a flop. Let's see if we can strike gold, and it comes 5-4 deuce rainbow. When the action checks to me under the gun, I like to go for a bet, protect my hand against any of the other pocket pairs, maybe some hands like ace, queen, king, queen. Yeah, I just don't want anyone to get there for a cheap price, so I decided to bet out for $45, and we're only going to get called in one spot from the small blind. Now usually when you think of a small blind range, they're going to have a lot of like those middling type of cards. So this board does connect pretty well with that range, but once they put in the call, we're going to have to proceed with some caution on a few turns and a few rivers. When the turn now comes the ace of hearts and the small blind checks it over to me, I think this is a spot that we can mix. We can either go for a bet and get value from hands like 6-5, 4-6, things like that, or we could check behind and pick off some bluffs by the river. I end up deciding to check behind, and that brings in an interesting card on the river. It comes the 7 of hearts. 6-8 now makes a straight, and he actually checks it over to me for a third time. There's just a lot of things going on this board. The 7 of hearts obviously completes the backdoor heart draw as well. You guys can call me a chicken, but I decide to check behind. I just don't want to get into a spot where he turns a hand into a bluff, and I'm forced to fold the best hand. So when I check behind, he says he has a 4. I don't think he was calling a bet on the river anyways. And we're going to scoop down that $155 pot. Alright, next hand here, we look down at ace-king offsuit from the small blind. The button straddles on for $15. But an important thing to note is he said that he's shoving. So I don't really know if I should be raising this spot or just putting in the 15 bucks, hoping someone else puts in that. Then he shoves and I can reopen the action. So I decide just to limp for $15. Kobe's a man of his word. When the action comes back around to him, he shoves all in for $165. And because I'm the only one left in this hand, I put in the call. We're off to a run out heads up with $335 in the middle, which comes ace 7-7, and he's blind. He has not looked at his hand yet. I'm exposing a king, but I have an ace underneath, so that's pretty good news. The turn card gives us 3 pairs now. It comes the king of diamonds, followed by the river, which comes the 3 of spades. There's not many hands here that can beat us, and he looks down at his first card, and it's just a one-hit wonder. He pulls over the 7 of spades, so immediately he has this hand scooped. 10-7 offsuit was his exact hand. And that's kind of a brutal way to lose a pot to a man as relaxed as Kobe, getting a massage as well. What a needle. But yeah, $335 going his way, and he deserves it. The blind play works out well. All right, looking to recover from that last one, I looked down at pocket threes from the third blind. We're playing 1, 2, 3 if you guys remember. I'm in the $3 blind, and under the gun straddles it up to $10. Kobe in the big blind puts in the call. I put in the call as well. Let's see if we can see some magic on this flop. But that's not what we get. It comes deuce, deuce, 5. 2 spades out there, and Kobe decides to bet out for $20. I put in the call, under the gun gets out of the way, and we are off to the turn, which comes an ace, the ace of clubs to be specific, now bringing in a second flush draw, and Kobe checks it over to me. I don't want to get blown off my hand. It's pretty vulnerable. I just have a pair, but at the same time, it feels like it's probably good in this spot, so I wouldn't blame anyone for going for a bet. But I decide to check behind, obviously, because I know the 3 of clubs is peeling off on the river. Bang! We river the boat. Pocket threes have never looked so good, and now Kobe decides to bet out for $25. Kind of feels like a blocker type bet. I'm hoping he got there with his flush, so I decide to add $100 to that and make it $125 to go. He's not obliging. He puts in the fold, showing the 5 of clubs. But just like that, we are taking down another pot with a boat on the river. Good luck so far tonight. I hope it continues. I look down at pocket nueves from the button. Cutoff opens it up to $20, and I decide to 3-bet Kobe all the way up to $65. When the action folds back around to him, he doesn't want to close the action. He wants to reopen it to the tune of $175. Now his 4-betting range here is pretty wide, I'd say. It isn't going to be a typical GTO 4-betting strategy, which is pretty much just aces, ace-king, kings, queens, and jacks. He's probably going to have a lot more hands like king 10 suited, pocket 7s, ace 5 suited, just random stuff like that. So I decided just to put in the call here with pocket 5s. Hopefully I can spike a good flop, and we can proceed from there. When I put in the call, the dealer puts out a flop of jack 3-3 with 2 clubs. Kobe does not decide to slow down on this flop, and he bets out for $125. Let's look at the pot size. There's $356 in there. So with his $125, there's around $475. If I put in the call, there's $600. So I'm getting like 4 or 5 to 1 on my money. Got to put in the call here. He can still be doing this with a lot of ace-king suited, king-queen, ace-queen, just a lot of hands that we have beat. So given the fact that I have position, I decide to put in the call. We see a turn card, which isn't great. It brings in a lot of hands that he was bluffing the flop with. It comes the queen of hearts. And if you expected him to slow down on a turn, he does not follow the rules. He decides to bet out for $350 now into the $606 pot. Obviously, I have pocket 9s. It's a no good hand. He's bluffing here. He's doing a good job at it. I just can't find many bluffs in his range, and I decided to fold my cards. He kindly turns over pocket kings for the vlog. So yeah, we made a good fold. Too bad the flop wasn't 9-9 deuce. That would have been an absolute cooler. All right, 3 hands to go. I look down at pocket aces from under the gun and I raise it up to $20. The player in the +1 position re-raises to 60 bucks. So yeah, we see an open to 20, a 3-bet to 60, and now the small blind puts in the cold call for $60. So yeah, just a word to the wise for you guys. If you're in the small blind, you really should just be raising or folding. So a call here is pretty strong. I'd put it on any sort of pocket pairs. Up to pocket kings maybe would probably go for a 4-bet. So yeah, this could be anything from jacks to like 7s, I'd say. And then just some random suited hands, maybe like ace queen suited, ace jack suited, that just don't know what to do. So when the action comes back around to me, I'm obviously not going to just put in the call. I don't want to go 3 ways to a flop against all these random hands. So I decided to 4-bet it to $205, putting the pressure back on the +1 position. And so let's see what he does. Player in the +1 position now 5 bets. 5 bets all in for around $958 effective. Small blind gets out of the way, and after I put in the call, the +1 turns over pocket jacks. We have him in rough shape. It's a $2,000 pot, and we faced a 5-bet all in. We call and are in a really good spot. 80% chance to win this $2,000 pot. The flop's clean, it comes 6 high, followed by the turn 4 of diamonds, and a board pairing 6 on the river seals his fate. $2,000 coming my way. A much needed pot, getting us going in the right direction. Sliding my chips forward here so the dealer can properly assess how many chips I have. So yeah, we're going to double through that player in the +1 position. Slide those chips over to me, dealer.
Foolish hand or muffin, those you have to, but those chips are in this pot.
Let's go. Lunatic. Let's go.
All right, 2 more hands to go here. I look down at queen 4 of clubs from the button. I straddled it to $10 and the hijack opens it up to $35. I decide to put in the call from the button and we see a flop of 10-9-6 with 2 clubs and the opponent checks it dark over to me. Interesting spot when the opponent checks dark, but I decide to bet out for $25. I'm trying to set the tone here with my queen high flush draw. I just want to get some better hands to fold like king high, ace high type hands. But he decides to put in the call, bringing in the turn card, which comes a deuce of diamonds. Hijack checks it over to me for a second time, and now I decide to size up here to the tune of $75. Obviously, nothing came in on this turn, nothing really changed, so if he's calling me on the flop, he probably has some random hand like queen jack, although I do block that, having a queen in my hand. He could also have jack 8, 8-7. Oh, 8-7 is actually a straight, so I think he probably would have raised either the flop or the turn if he had a straight. So him just calling the flop and checking the turn, he probably has a 1-pair type of hand or maybe some sort of draw. So I'm going to keep putting pressure on that. I think if I can go for a triple barrel here, I can get him to fold a lot of hands. I bet out for 75 bucks. After a little bit of thinking, he decides to put in the call. We're looking to see a black club on the river, and it does not come. Instead, it's the 3 of spades. The opponent checks it over to me for a 3rd time. I can't give up here with my queen high flush draw. I've gotten this far. There's nearly $300 in the middle to fight for. And I'm going to size up on this river and try to put him to the test, and I bet out for $165. If he has a hand like ace 10, maybe a hand like ace 9, maybe pocket 7s, pocket 8s, I think he's just got a fold. The only hands I can really call here are 10-9 suited, obviously any of his sets, but I don't think he would have played it like this. So my $165 bet is putting him to the test. But now something interesting happens. He ends up turning his cards over to his neighbors, and they confirm that he has king jack. He says out loud that he wants to call really bad, and he keeps looking at his cards, putting him down at the table. King jack, how is he contemplating a hero call here with king high? I mean, he must have just thought that I'm going for a bluff with this exact type of hand, but am I really going to have queen 4 of clubs here that often? I mean, I doubt it, going for 3 streets of betting, but king jack is a great read if he's going to put in the call. It really feels like he's going to do it, and I'm sweating. I'm nervous in my chair. I'm trying to play it cool, though. Eventually, though, he does fold, which means I have to show him because, you know, if he was thinking about it this long, he obviously thought I was bluffing. I'm going to have to show him the goods. I turn over that queen of clubs bluff, and he goes nuts for like the next 15 minutes, pacing around the room. And yeah, it feels pretty good to get that bluff through and kind of needle opponent afterwards. All right, last hand of the night, I look down at the pocket ochos from the hijack. The player on my right, Kobe, puts in the $15 and I decide to flat call. Two other players call, and that means we are going 4 ways to a flop, which of course comes Jack 8-7. Bang! We flop middle set. Small blind leads out for $20 and I decide just to put in the call. I think you could also be raising here considering there's a lot of draws out there, but just in case I'm up against 9-10, let's wait for the board to pair before piling in more money. I just put in the call and we are off to the turn, which comes the nut worst card on the turn, the 9 of diamonds. Connects the board even further, putting that front door flush draw out there, and any 10 now has me beat, like Jack 10, 8-10, just a really bad card on the turn. When he bets out for $20 though, I'm obviously going nowhere, and I decide to put in the call, bringing in one of the best cards now in the deck. It comes the 9 of hearts. The opponent now bets out for $45. He sizes up a little bit, but all in all, his bet sizing in this hand is kind of a little bit weird. So I obviously have to raise here with my rivered boat, and I decide just to add an $100 chip to it. It's $145 is the price of poker. After some thinking, he doesn't look too happy about it, but ends up putting in the call. He obviously has a flush or a straight, but I show my cards and he mucks his. I guess we'll never know, but that $433 pot definitely feels pretty good. My chip stack has ballooned up to around $2,000. We rack up our chips, exchanging them for some cold, hard cash. All right, you guys, we got into that game for 1,000, topped up an additional 400, in for 1,400, out for 2,046, profit of 646 in around 4 hours. Not too shabby. Had about 6 or 7 tacos, which I honestly appreciate more than the money. But if you guys are new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. Let me know what casinos I should visit in your guys' area next. I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling these next few months. And spoiler alert, I might be moving to Dallas. So if you guys are from Dallas, let me know down below. Some big things coming. Good luck on the felt, you guys. Catch you in the next video. Bars. Thanks for watching to the end of my video. Click my head below to subscribe and stay in the loop. See you next time.